Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting on my channel. I really appreciate the support. In this video, I wanted to speak about imperfectionism. Not perfectionism, but imperfectionism. And how imperfectionism has to kind of become the gold standard for a lot of people, because otherwise we will never get anything done. Recently, I've kind of gotten extremely interested in zero waste and how it is extremely important for us as human beings to reduce our carbon footprint, obviously, but also our plastic footprint onto this planet. I'm looking at pictures of plastic waste and the Pacific garbage patch and things like that, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that I was one of the contributors to that garbage patch. Some of my plastic garbage that I'd never even thought about, that I didn't think twice about, that I just threw out without thinking about it, especially in Thailand. In Canada, a lot of it's recycled, so I don't feel bad about it there. But here, when I'm in Thailand, I know they don't recycle anything. I really know that all of this crap is just going right into the water or into the ocean or the sea or the rivers, right? It's not really, I don't know what they really do with it, but I've visited garbage dumps, and I actually recommend that all of you guys visit a garbage dump once in your life to see the sheer amount of waste that a human being can produce. But anyways, so I know that all this shit is just going into the ocean, and a lot of it is my contribution. Well, part of it obviously is me. And so I realized that I had to, if I was going to be a conscious human being, I had to really reduce that. And it's hard in Thailand to go zero waste. It's not impossible, but it's extremely hard. I think it would be easier to do that in Canada because there are a lot more options there. But here, plastic is just a way of life. They put plastic bags into plastic bags when they give them to you, right? And so everything's wrapped in plastic. All the food that you might get at a market is given to you in plastic. And so if you want to be a conscious zero waster, you have to be extremely conscious and go in with hundreds of containers, right? You have to have 2 or 3 containers for food, and then, like a glass container for a smoothie, and a plastic bag or a couple of plastic bags to hold all that stuff. And so you're carrying basically a backpack around with you everywhere, which is fine with me. I do that every single day now. I'm used to it. But when I started thinking about it, even now, even despite the fact that I'm working really hard at it, being conscious about the choices I make, even now I do still produce some plastic waste. Now, compared to previously when I wasn't conscious about it, it is 100 times better. I mean, I produced a little bit, like a handful of plastic waste for the entire 2 weeks. So I throw out my garbage every 2 weeks, and it's about a handful. I would say like a little plastic bag of plastic waste, and that's all. I know that's the only thing because I don't use plastic anywhere else. I'll make sure that I take my containers with me. If I don't have containers, I don't buy anything. That's just the way it is. And so I've reduced my waste a lot, obviously, and I'm really proud of that fact. But I'm not at zero waste by a long, long distance. Like, I'm like far away from that ideal of zero waste, obviously. Obviously, that is an ideal, right? And I'm far away from it. And so if I really thought about it, I'm like, well, what's the point? I'm still producing plastic waste. I'm still throwing out stuff. If I'm still going to be doing it imperfectly, then what is the point of doing it? Why do I even bother with it? Why don't I just give it up and just go back to being normal again, right? Because it is difficult, and you have to be thinking about it all the time. And it does prey on your mind, right? You're thinking, oh, how do I do it? If I'm going to go out today, I have to grab my container. I have to take this with me. If I want a smoothie, then all that stuff. You're constantly thinking about it, right? But even despite all of that work, if I'm still producing plastic waste, then what is the point? Why do I even bother? Why don't I just go back to being normal again? And that's why I wanted to share the stories, because it's not about being perfect. It's not about doing things perfectly, but about doing them to the best of your ability. None of this is a competition, You're not competing with anyone except for yourself. And I've said this to you many times before, that you have to remember that it is not a competition with anyone outside of yourself, except for anyone within yourself. Yes, you're competing with, but no one else outside is your competition. No one on the planet is your competition. They are not there to compete with you. You're not there to compete with them. The only one you can really compete with is yourself. And so if I'm competing with myself, my previous self, who used to produce a lot of plastic waste without thinking about it, if I compare myself to her, I am doing a million times better, and I should pat myself on the shoulder and keep on going, right? If I start comparing myself to those zero wasters who are not producing any waste at all, who produce like a little handful of waste for 5 years, then obviously I'm going to go into this spiral of depression, a black hole of depression, and I think to myself, I'm useless. Why am I even bothering with all this stuff? And I would give up, right? And I think that's what happens to a lot of us when we are on this path of awakening or growth or personal development, or doing all these amazing things to improve ourselves. We think that we have to be perfect about it. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be. Absolutely not. Actually, in fact, if you can be imperfect about it, it would work out better in the long run. Whenever I start off with any new habit that I want to put into my schedule, right? For example, in October last year, I started doing Wim Hof breathing. I added that into my schedule every morning. So I would meditate and then I would do Wim Hof. If you don't know anything about it, you can just Google it. It's WIMHOF, Wim Hof breathing. It's a kind of hyperventilation that has powerful benefits on your body. Magnificent benefits, right? And for me, I've noticed a host of benefits. And so I started doing it just because my friend was doing it and he said, it's really great, you have to do it. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll try it out. And so I added it into my schedule and I did it every morning. And I knew I was doing it imperfectly. I knew I wasn't doing it perfectly because my friend had different results from me. And I had terrible results, but I still kept on doing it because I knew that even with those terrible results over a long period of time, consistently over a long period of time, I would get a lot more benefit than those people who just do it perfectly for a couple of days and then never do it again, right? And that's what my friend does, is that he does it perfectly for a few days and then he gives up on it for a couple of weeks. And then he'll get back into it and do it perfectly for a couple of weeks and then give up on it. And so the benefits that he has, yes, they might be amplified in those couple of weeks that he's doing it, but then he just loses all of that stuff because he wants it to be perfect. And he thinks to himself, if I'm not doing it perfectly, then why bother? That's the wrong kind of attitude. And this is something that I've learned over the last few years of integrating a lot of different learnings into myself, that if you're going to do it imperfectly, that's actually a billion times better than doing it perfectly. Because what happens to us when we do something perfectly is that if we don't do it perfectly, then we're like, what's the point? Why should I even bother? And then we give up, right? If we don't do it perfectly, we're like, well, if I'm not going to do it perfectly, I'm not even going to do it at all. And that's the problem there. That's exactly the problem, that you're not going to do it at all. Well, it's better if you do it imperfectly and you do it every single day or as much as possible, than do it perfectly for a couple of times and then give up on it, right? Doing it imperfectly has become my new logo, my new mission, my new motto in life. Like I do everything imperfectly, but I do it. I do it every single day. I might do it imperfectly. Maybe a couple of days I might end up doing it perfectly, but I don't even think about it. But I will do it imperfectly every single day, no matter what it is, right? The same thing with my writing. I'm not a perfect writer by far. And the words that I produce, a lot of them are shit. But I still produce them every single day without fail. And I've been doing it for 2-3 years now without fail, consistently. And that's why I've been able to produce all these books that I have. Same thing with my meditation. I am not a perfect meditator. Some days my mind is all over the place and it's not able to focus on my breath. It's not able to focus on whatever I'm trying to focus on. And I'm shitty. And I think to myself, was there an even point to doing that? But that was the point. Even with that shitty meditation, I still have a better day than I would without a meditation at all, right? And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys, obviously, but myself more so than anything else, that it's all right to do it imperfectly as long as you do it consistently. It's all right to do it imperfectly as long as you do it consistently every single day for the rest of your life, especially for things like meditation, yoga, writing, or being creative, any kind of self-help or personal development thing. If you do it imperfectly, but you do it every single day, that is going to be more powerful than if you do it perfectly for a month and then give up on it. That's again the same thing that comes up when we're going to the gym. We are all gung-ho about it and we do it perfectly for the first 2 weeks. And then we get bored perhaps, or we get tired of being perfect about it. And we're like, I just don't want to do it anymore. And then we stop, right? But that person who goes in every single day and does it imperfectly, they're just kind of lolling about on the treadmill, or they're not doing it they're doing a half-assed job of it perhaps. But because they're doing a half-assed job, it's not really causing them that much angst, and they just go every day without even thinking about it. And they're able to keep on going for a year, 2, 3, 4 years, and they're able to see more perfect results than you would ever with your perfection motto, right? And so really, please try and integrate this into your schedule as well. Don't worry about being perfect. It's actually better to be imperfect, but to do it for a long period of time than to do it perfectly and do it for a couple of days. Now, of course, I'm not saying that don't ever do things perfectly, obviously. You're never going to get to that perfection moment, but if you are striving towards it, that's awesome. Keep on striving towards it. But remember that perfection is not the goal, but consistency with anything that you're doing. Consistency is more important than perfection every single time. If you want to improve yourself, it won't matter how perfect you are, but if you're consistent, you're going to get to that goal that you're looking for. Again, as I said, I hope this makes sense. If you guys have any questions at all about this topic or any other topics that I've done, please message me anytime. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.